So now that the casting of Frank Stone from the world of Dead by Daylight is a little less fresh and people have gotten a chance to play it, I wanted to give my spoiler review talking a little more about the story and stuff and kind of just what I overall think of the game. So, if you haven't played the casting of Frank Stone yet and you plan to, there will be at least some story spoilers here. So this is your warning. Go play it and come back, or even watch my spoiler-free video that I did on the game like 2-ish weeks ago, but if you don't care, then that's okay too. So with the casting of Frank Stone out the gate, what do I think of this game? In general, I actually really enjoyed it. Way more than I thought I was gonna, and while I have a lot of questions, to be honest, more questions than answers, some of the things really irked me more than others, I generally had a pretty great time playing this game with my wife. She seemed to really dig it too. So really, what is this game all about? Well, it takes place in the same universe as the PvP horror game Dead by Daylight. Shocker, I know. Which doesn't really have a story. I mean, there's a lot of background story that you can read up for all the characters you can play as, but this is an online game. In this one, the casting of Frank Stone, it takes some of the pieces from that world and puts a story around it, and I personally find it really interesting, as I really like DBD. Me and my wife do, actually. We play it a lot. So we get a group of people to control and guide through this kind of story with their fate resting in our hands and our choices. But as opposed to just one group in one timeline, like most supermassive games we get, there's two, technically three if you include the prologue, but in general we have 4 playable characters in the year 1980 and 2 later on 3 or 4-ish characters in the year 2024, depending on how you go about the game, of course, with it all being centered around like this film called Murder Mill, and a woman named Augustine Lieber, and a killer from the 1960s named Frank Stone. Our main playable characters are just stuck in the middle of the situation, with Augustine trying to bring the entity from Dead by Daylight into their world. And so you get this group of kids just trying to make a low-budget horror movie, Murder Mill, in a small town called Cedar Hills in Oregon in 1980. And then a couple of people trying to sell what's left of that film in 2024. I will say, out the gate, I like the 1980 timeline just a little more. At least the characters there, they're just more fun, and the vibe of the town is just better. I do wish we got to see a little more of this town, but it really is just the backdrop of the story. I can still appreciate that, though. There are multiple ways that the story can technically play out, mainly depending on who survives, and some of the bigger choices you make, like the relationships and stuff, or whatnot. But I ain't gonna lie, the first time me and my wife played this, we were doing great until at the end when everybody just died, tragically. Really fumbled the ball at the end, at the last final moments, and we only got what I could assume was the bad ending. Frank Stone was brought back, and the entity was brought to the world through us, the sacrifices, and I was really salty, and my wife was too, so we immediately ran it back. And to be honest, the ending, it changed a little, not as much as I thought it would. Everyone did survive, except Stan. But he wasn't one of our characters or like playable characters, just a slightly douchey dude from the 2024 timeline. And while the ending was a little different, it really only gave us more gameplay, which is, I mean, fine with me. I do like getting a little extra, and it draws it out a little more, but it still doesn't end in a fun way. After everyone has survived, technically, we're still given to the entity. Our characters make their way to this campsite in the woods, which is supposed to kind of represent the Dead by Daylight lobby, where they will go through trials, being hunted by killers that the entity has to offer, as well as Frank Stone, who is still brought back. And this is to happen for all eternity. There is no escaping the entity, at least by like the DBD lore, and that's depressing as fuck. I mean, right on for committing to the bit with Dead by Daylight, but I wanted them to live. I worked hard for them to live. I mean, they do, but just to be hunted and or killed over and over again till the end of time. So that's pretty sad. So that's my first issue with the game. I guess there could be more outcomes that I haven't gotten because I've only played it twice, but I gotta believe that if that's kind of what happens when everyone, except Stan, survives, then if a couple things change, it won't make much of a difference, or maybe it will, I don't know. But that's kind of my first issue. I'm not sure you can avoid that either. Either they die for the one time throughout the story, or they just become part of the trial. My second issue is that I got confused with some of the plot points in the story, like one of our characters that we play as, Maddie, in the 2024 timeline being the daughter of a character named Bonnie in the 1980 timeline. It's not one of our playable characters, but she's still there. She's like the sister to Jaime, who's one of our playable characters. She clearly survives, she had a daughter, and doesn't die until 2024, as she was said by Maddie to have gotten sick and passed away. Yet, in the later portion of the game, in the film, and in the 1980 timeline, it's said that she is killed by Frank Stone's spirit. Now, while another character that's in the 2024 and 1980 timeline, Linda, says that that's not how it happened, it's not really explained why. I mean, we see it in the finished film in 2024 and while we're playing in the 1980 timeline. Now, it could easily be said that there's just multiple timelines or realities where this happened or didn't happen. I mean, we see some other segments of the film and there's like other shit in there that doesn't happen. We, legitimately see that it doesn't happen, or not in that way at least, but how and why? Maybe I'm just stupid. I'm probably just stupid, but someone needs to spell it out for me. Maybe I missed something. It's always a possibility, but it doesn't really make sense. Same with the time travel. Yes, there is time travel in this game. I guess that makes more sense to me than the other issue I had and some of the other stuff, but I did want to know more about how that works. Like a young Augustine travels to 2024, being brought there by her older self. Something I want to know more about, because we even get a character from 1980, Chris, who is randomly just sucked into 2024 just to either be killed or to become part of the trials, which Chris is probably one of the most tragic characters in the game, to be honest. Now, she has 2 chances to go back, but I don't think she can, as one of those chances we actually took, and it doesn't work out. Well, that makes sense, I guess. I just want to know more, is my point. Being that this game puts a lot out there with somewhat explaining a lot. Now, again, I could have easily missed some stuff, but I did get all the collectibles and the story building notes, so I don't know. Just something. I just have a lot of questions about it. All in all, I did really enjoy the game and the story as a whole. It may not seem like I did, as I'm kind of just complaining at this point, but it's really because I was digging the story and I wanted to know more, and I actually wanted our characters to get out because we tried to have them survive the whole time. As far as the ending, it fits in the world. It's really cool nod to Dead by Daylight. The characters are great. The soundtrack is awesome. I mean, there's not a lot of soundtrack, but it's pretty good. It looks great, plays great. I love these type of games. I love supermassive games and what they do with these little horror stories, all of them, except for the first Dark Pictures game. Not really a fan of that one, but they did really great here. And I just overall had a great time. My wife seemed to really enjoy it as well, which is always a bonus for me. This game is great. I'd say it's not better than Until Dawn or The Quarry, but better than most of the Dark Pictures games, probably all of them. I'd probably put it number 3 on my supermassive games list, for sure, because it's really great. But anyways, that's kind of all I can really talk about. I guess I kind of lost a lot of the point, but overall, super good, and I highly recommend. It's not even a full price game. It's like $40, and you could probably get it on sale already, so why not if you like these type of games like Until Dawn or choose your own adventure kind of games, or even horror movies, or even Dead by Daylight. But anyways, if you watch this video without playing the game, I didn't really spoil too much, just going over some of my thoughts on the game. I still highly recommend it if you haven't played it. And if you did, can someone please explain some of that shit I was complaining about, because I had to have missed some stuff, right? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, but anyways, if you made it this far in the video, thank you. You're awesome. If you like this video and want to see more of what I've done and what's to come, be sure to share, like, and subscribe to stay updated on when I post. Been a little unmotivated lately, just not had a lot of time, a lot of personal stuff, and YouTube demonetized my whole last channel, so that's also a big old bummer, but we got lots of great games to talk about still. So either way, I hope to see you in the next one. Appreciate you. Do the things, click a couple buttons. Anyways, thanks for coming, and thanks for watching.